I was so sick of being stuck, so I did something I never thought I would do. I hired an executive coach. Follow along with me as I team up with Tarik, a personalized executive coach for rising leaders. I'm going to talk about my fears, my anxieties, and what's holding me back. And hey, maybe we'll get unstuck together.
Okay, 3, 2, 4, 5, 1. Josh, it's so good to see you.
Hey, Tarik, I'm glad to finally be able to connect with you on video here. A little nervous about what's going on, but I'm excited, and I can't wait to just dig into it and see where this all goes.
Look, hey, I appreciate you. You came to me with this idea a couple months ago around what if we just showed the world what coaching looks like, and I'm so grateful that you're doing this because we're kind of throwing the NDA out the window on this one, and you're going to be open on kind of what you're hoping to work on through our sessions. And we didn't script any of this, so we don't know where this is going to go, but I'm super excited to be here with you.
Yeah,
Is there anything? Yeah, go ahead.
It's very difficult to let myself go, to be like, yeah, we'll see where this is goes, because I'm a very like planny type of person in the video world, which I do. You have to plan everything, so the let's see where this go is going to be, I think, the roller coaster and the fun of all this. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, look, we're gonna do this whether it's today or the sessions that we do the next couple weeks. We will go at whatever pace feels good for you, right? Coaching is something that's very new for a lot of people. When they first start it, it feels weird. We often don't have a space where it's, on us to talk for 80% of the time. So we're gonna, tailor this so that it's fully working for your comfort and your style, and we will go at whatever pace works for you. How's that sound?
I appreciate that.
Amazing. No, and I mean it. So, is there anything that you want to do before we dive in here today to just get present, like notifications? Got your coffee? Got your water? You all set?
I think I'm very well hydrated. I believe all of my notifications are on silent. You've got my full attention for the next 45 minutes, an hour, however long this takes. I don't know how long these usually go, but you've got me. I'm ready to roll.
Amazing, amazing. So today, let's think of this as like the 10,000-foot view, where we look at the overall landscape of what's going on. I'll ask you a few questions. We'll go through that, and then this should give us a bit of a blueprint of where to start and where to dig into when we start our coaching sessions. I want to avoid a situation where we just jump right in without knowing the overall landscape. It'll help us make best use of our time the next few weeks. So I'll pass it to you, Josh. Like, when you think about if we were to go ahead and do coaching for a couple months, what's coming to mind as the key areas that are popping up that you really want to work on?
Yeah, so over the last year or so, it's kind of become really apparent to me that one of my biggest stumbling blocks is just like the analysis paralysis thing. And maybe also tied to that directly is a little bit of, not a little bit, a lot of bit of some imposter syndrome. And they seem to kind of tie together. Like, I get an idea that I want to do, or I make a plan of what I want to do. The plan becomes so massively large that I just get stuck. And then in the middle of that getting stuck, I also find out that, those doubts begin to creep in. And it's just like, you can't do this. You're not talented enough to do this. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It's all phony. It's all fake. Those two conversations seem to go in my head every time I try to take that next step in my business, and I probably a lot of stuff in my personal life too. But yeah, so if you're talking about 10,000-foot view, those are probably the biggest things that I have struggled with especially over the last year.
Yeah. Well, tell me about that last year. Like, what have you noticed in the past year compared to maybe before?
So last year I had some really bad personal health issues that really threatened to shut the business down. And as I've gotten healthier and tried to ramp back up, I know that I needed better strategies. I needed to do more things, get out of my comfort zone, do all of, just a lot more of the, salesy stuff and just tried new things to get past where I was. So, but every time I try to go and implement those things, it's like I get these massive mental roadblocks of, well, that's not going to work. Well, I don't know it's not going to work because I've never tried it before, but the voice of don't seems so much louder than the voice of can. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a lot of the pressure that I felt because of, the personal issues, the financial issues of the business, all of that stuff. Maybe it's all of that, but probably if I'm honest with myself, it's those doubts have creeped in and out most of my life anyway. So maybe they're just amplified because of the stress of the situation.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate the openness. I know it's our first time diving into this, and I just want to, you sound really clear on these couple areas that are kind of standing in your way, and I appreciate you kind of being this open so soon.
Sure.
How you doing?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I do have a tendency, like, I guess maybe one of the better parts of my personality is once I decide to do it, I do jump all in. I don't hold anything back. It's getting off that, it's getting up onto the diving board and getting to the edge of it to get ready to jump. That's usually the hardest. Once I'm up there, cool, let's go. Like, this is a great idea. It wasn't really, once I got my mind around, hey, let's do this. Okay, I'm all in. Let's go. Push the boundaries, open book, all that. I didn't have an issue there. But the issue was with, like, the ramp up and believing that, well, to be honest with you, a lot of it was believing, is anything I say going to be worthwhile to me? Is it going to be worthwhile to anybody else? Like, am I even worth being here doing this? Am I the right person for all these things? So, yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, kind of how I approach a lot of things. It's, once you're in, you're in. Let's do it. Let's go all in. But, getting there's often difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's the impact that these areas are having right now on even specifically the business?
Sure. I know that I need to completely change my prospecting and my pipeline stuff just all the way through. Like it's got to be more organized. It's got to be less kind of, word of mouth. It has to be more, what's the right word? It's got to be more, planned. Maybe is the best way to say it. I know that that's the biggest thing, that I've got, trying to implement. And I've been trying to implement it for quite a while, but no matter what books I read, no matter what coaching groups I go to, or no matter what, seminars I attend, for whatever reason, the information is there, but I can't get to that implementation side of it. And I don't know why.
Got it. Got it. So this like triangle, I've got like a triangle written down here of the analysis paralysis, the imposter syndrome doubts, and then the pressure. And I imagine that at any given point, there's kind of a balance of those three things, yeah?
Yeah, and actually I would say that almost is always an imbalance of those three things. One always seems to, get, the triangle, the one angle gets really big, and it just, it expands and compresses, on my mind constantly, for sure.
Okay. And this whole thing around like getting the information, reading the books, looking up the stuff, but it not getting to implementation. Any patterns on, out of those three parts of the triangle where information does help or where you're feeling like more of a lack of implementation?
That's a fantastic question. So I guess my pattern is usually this, where I'm a very in-depth student type. I've got that personality, so I will read. Hours and hours and hours and hours, just trying to bathe my mind in all of these concepts and stuff. And I do. I guess maybe the pattern that keeps popping up is after I do it for a week or two, just nonstop. I feel completely overwhelmed, and it feels pointless, and it feels like I'll never be able to get all of these things. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's something there where I'm overstudying stuff. I don't know, but I tend to really, when I want to do something, I really want to get into the weeds and embody it, and really learn everything I can about it before I make a step. So, but I end up hardly ever making that step.
Yeah, yeah. So, and there's a couple things that are pointing to really good signs for me right now. Like, one, I'm so impressed in the past 5 minutes of your self-awareness of how clearly you're articulating your own patterns. Like, you clearly have that awareness. I'm also picking up on, as you've been talking about this, maybe, indexing heavily on researching or trying to find outside information and studying. And I'll tell you what I'm thinking in a sec, but tell me more about what you've tried in the past to overcome these areas.
Uh, Probably just more study and research.
More studying. Okay.
Yeah, probably. I've talked to like a few friends about the issues. I do. I'll have a tendency to like make a plan. Like I use like a ClickUp software to plan out all the stuff and make a plan, but never get to the implementation of that plan. I do that from time to time. So I guess there's some of the things that I do. I try to plot it out visually. I try to plot out all of the steps that I want to do, but that doesn't seem to work either for me for some reason. I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. It 100%. What's the feeling when it doesn't work? Like, what happens when you have that plan written out? What seems to happen when you try to follow through on that?
It's probably like equal parts "I told you so" and equal parts "why did you even start in the beginning?" Like, I guess that's probably the feelings that I feel with this. Like, you kind of like, you knew you wouldn't be able to do this. Maybe it sounds weird too, but sometimes maybe there's like a little bit of like relief in there. Like, yeah, well, I guess, yeah. I don't, okay, I've obviously proved I can't do this, so I can not do this. Like, I don't know if that's maybe something there too.
Okay. Cool. I wanted to dig in there a bit just so we get a bit of that landscape, right? Like, I'm picturing this triangle, and maybe when we chat again next week and go deeper, maybe more things will be added to the triangle. But no, we got a bit of a blueprint here. If we fast forwarded a couple months, Josh, and you were going to call me in 2-3 months, and you were going to call me because we nailed everything on this triangle, and you are feeling like a utopia state on all three areas. Tell me more about like what that utopia best case scenario looks like. And you're calling me saying like, I can't believe that we crushed it.
Dude, I would want to call you in 2 to 3 months and be able to say, Tarik, you will never believe I've spent the last month every day working the plan that I set out. Every day I wake up motivated, not motivated. Every day I wake up and I do it. Every day it makes sense to keep going, and I'm not listening to those voices in my head. That would be the utopia state of actually having something done, whatever the plan would be. It doesn't have to be like the biggest, largest plan, but every day I did this. And every day I didn't give in to that self-doubt. That's the utopia for me.
What else? Keep going. There's more there. I can see it.
Yeah, Utopia, like, how about like three brand new clients? That would be incredible too. That would be fantastic at this point. Um, I don't know, just just a little bit of clarity. Like I think that's probably a little bit of clarity. Let's this is step one. Let's master step one of this plan, and I can see two, three, four, and five, and actually believe that I have the ability to do it, and not get overwhelmed by it, and not give up halfway through, or even actually not even halfway through. Let's give up before I even started. Um, yeah, I guess like those. That's just kind of like the dream for me. Like I know that like I know the things that I do I'm competent in. Like I can sit down and I can film, produce, plan, edit any video anytime anywhere for anything. I know I can do that. And I never have an issue getting started doing that. But it's some of these areas that I just don't know about that are really important to business that I wish I had half of that clarity that I do on my video production side.
So you're calling me in 2, 3 months with three new clients, and you're saying, Tarik, I have stuck to this plan that I believe in. I've spent the month working the plan. You're waking up, you're actually doing it, and you are not being dragged down by those inner voices, and you're feeling clear on not only how we're overcoming the inner voices, but you're clear on these other business elements where you feel like you need to get more clarity on what needs to happen, and you're executing on those things.
Can, can I change one little piece to that?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
What I'd honestly like to be able to say is that, hey man, there's a time that I fell flat on my face and I felt like giving up, and the next day I got back up and did it. Like to me, like the success for me isn't necessarily being everything perfect in this utopia thing. It's knowing that the failure didn't kill me. The failure didn't just stop. Like I've learned a lot of that. I started going to the gym last year to deal with some of these health issues, right?
Yeah.
And the biggest thing for me there was, okay, the injury or the pulled muscle or the thing, that can't be the end. You can't give up because of that. You have to keep going back. I would like to have that type of mentality with some of this stuff. Like, okay, cool, I had a setback, but it didn't totally derail the train off the tracks completely. We just had to stop, retool, and get back going on. Like that is probably the biggest sign of success for me. Instead of like the first speed bump throws everything out in a wreck, the first speed bump is recognized as a speed bump. And then, okay, cool, let's keep going back on the road again. Like to me, in 3 months, having that failure loop, right? Complete, that to me would be most awesome. Like it's smaller, it's a little bit more specific to I guess how I feel, how I operate. Utopias are a little odd to me, but just the idea of being able to overcome that failure and keep going is probably number one for me.
I could see the emotion in your eyes as you said it, right? Like clearly, I know you said it's a small thing, but it's a big thing. It's a big thing, right? It's
Yeah.
that resilience when things kind of might start to feel not as good. And for me, the value for me the past 10 minutes is I'm almost thinking now about I look at the analysis paralysis, I look at the doubts and the imposter syndrome, I look at the pressure, right? That triangle. I also want to, by the way, look at this other side, which you mentioned around clarity on the areas of business that you feel like you need to put a plan in place. But we look at these three things on the triangle, and I'm almost thinking, how do we figure out what the roots are that's kind of driving some of those voices? If we can figure out what those roots are, okay, and then we can figure out what comes up in these situations where there's hypothetical failure. Like if we can solve for the extreme cases and we can get you a plan of like, hey Josh, like I want you to design what is the worst like thing that could happen to this triangle. Like let's start there and find a plan in that worst case. And then if you have that system there, then we should be able to solve for any system that any issue that comes your way, right? Because we've solved for the worst case. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about a way we could start when we chat next week. I'm going to pause there. How does that kind of process sound to you overall?
I like that. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that works out really well. Yeah.
What stands out about that to you? Like, what did you like about that?
Um, the preparing for the disaster syndrome, I think, kind of hits on a lot of things
Okay.
because I think that I have a tendency to do that, thinking that no matter what goes on, it's always going to be the worst thing that has ever happened everywhere. Like if I don't do this, everything's going to go away, right? That
Mhm.
complete derailment that I just talked about. So solving for those things and having everything be considered to a lesser degree, it sounds right and it makes sense to me.
Okay. That sounds good. And we can always tweak our approach as we get into it. Um, you've mentioned a lot about the tendency to study and get information externally. And I've also heard you say this thing around these other areas of your business where you feel like you need to, I don't know if it was improve or just spend more time in. I'm curious about that relationship there. Like when you say you want more clarity in those areas of business, what does that mean?
I want to be able to trust myself that I'll be able to do do it, to be able to set out and do it. I think like I think I don't I I think I do like a lot of study and stuff because I just I want to make sure that whatever step I do and take is the most efficient. It gives me the best chance for success. But I think ultimately I don't trust that I'll be able to do those things. So maybe it's something like along that line.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you right, and you call me out if I'm not, yeah? But maybe on the clarity on the business kind of plan side, it might be more about trust and triangle stuff that we've talked about rather than like learning the information of what to do.
Yeah, like I think that's correct. I think it's all kind of tied in together because like I said, I don't have any issues like building out like a business plan or any of that stuff. I don't have any issues, taking the information, being able to process it, being able to think through it, being able to see a path to go. But believe what's that line from the Matrix? Is the difference between knowing the path and walking the path. It's really easy to know the path. Like that's easy, right? But walking it for me is that's where all that triangle stuff just rears up heavy.
Okay. Okay. That is adding up. How are you doing? We're 20 minutes in. I know we started and you were feeling nervous. I want to give you a sec to, tell me what's coming up as we jump in here.
Uh, Honestly, it's like I feel very vulnerable and I feel partially idiotic. Like sometimes I guess when I hear myself, right, I'm like, dude, why are you like, come on, you're smarter than this. You're better than this. Like this stuff shouldn't be real coming from you, right? But saying it out loud and feeling how true it is coming out is like so I'm doing well. I feel that there's a lot of progress, but it's a I feel emotionally charged.
Yeah.
Is that probably the best way of what I can say right now?
Well, I mean, I could tell how much you care about obviously your business, but also this triangle, right? And moving past it, like I can see how important this is to you. And I so appreciate the openness that you're showing, Josh. And I'll share, like even when I'm with my coach, there are absolutely times when I am revealing my inner voice and I'm hearing it and I'm like, oh, I've never said that out loud. Or Tarik,
Mm-hmm.
seriously? Like, is that what you're, is that what you believe? Like, is that right? And sometimes just saying that part out loud gets us 10% of the way to the answer because we hear it. We're like, okay, wait, like that might be BS. And usually the first step is recognizing that, oh, yeah, that might be BS. So maybe there's a crack here that we can dig into and find the thing. Okay. You okay with using the term triangle? Well, we know what that
Yeah.
means. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this triangle area, right? And for those watching, the analysis paralysis, the imposter syndrome, and the pressure. You've touched on this a bit, but we talked about this utopia and that resilience if things go, if things go backwards, but coupled with that feeling of Tarik, like I'm waking up, I'm doing this stuff, I've signed clients and you're doing those things. What do you feel like is stopping you now from this utopia slash feeling that resilience?
Me, like, there's no one there's no one else to blame when you're a business owner and you do everything yourself and it's all on you. There's no one else to blame. Like, I'm yeah, I got to take the personal accountability for all of that stuff. So whatever's going on, whatever failings are going on in my business and personal life or whatever, it ultimately rests on my shoulders. Outside forces are there for everybody. You can't control outside forces. You can't control market realizations. You can't do any of that stuff. But I can control. Yeah, I can't control. I can hopefully influence and change what goes on in me. So I'm going to take the responsibility and say these things that go on are on my shoulders. They're my back. They're my responsibility to get through and figure out. So I guess I would be in the way of utopia, which is, I guess, a weird thing to say out loud in here too. But yeah,
Yeah. What feels weird about that too when he said,
um, utopia is a weird thing to believe in from my standpoint. Like, conceptually, I get the metaphor. I get what you're saying. Out of grasp on the other side of whatever that block is in me. So it's so weird. To even think, number one, to even think of it as a possibility of something to get there, and then to realize that it's on the other side of you. Like,
Mhm.
that's it's a little weird to say out loud and to begin to process.
On the first one, let's not use that word anymore. What feels like a better term that resonates with you that represents the place where we want this ship to get to?
I think I'd actually kind of prefer to keep it. Like, it's a new concept that I would like to learn to embrace. Like, yeah, like I think, I said I understand it conceptually. I don't believe in it per se, but I would like to. I would like to. So can we
Okay.
just, yeah, we stay there with it?
We can stay with it. And if I replace
Yeah,
that word for sec and we put the word
sure.
aside, but I say that the ship is aiming for you waking up and doing the work aligned to a plan that you believe in, that work is leading to you getting the types of clients that you want, and you have a system in place for when you might not be having the best day to bounce back from it. How's that
Yeah.
looking?
Yeah, like that's like the old biblical idea of a promised land. Like, yeah, like that type of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to give you a few minutes, of course, to ask any questions that you have, but the last one kind of on my mind here to round all this out is based on everything we've talked about, what feels like the solution to get this ship to the promised land?
Belief in overcoming the disaster. Like, that is probably the thing that hit the hardest, is knowing that the first choppy waters of the boat doesn't necessarily mean capsizing. Like, that gets it going. Because normally with the whole analysis paralysis thing, I'm stuck there. I'm stuck analyzing all of the worst case scenarios, and my pattern is, let's not get on the boat. let's not get on the boat. Like, why do that? So that's what that kind of analysis paralysis kills me on that. So yeah, belief in being able to overcome that disaster scenario.
Can I ask you one more question?
Yeah.
This triangle.
Mm-hmm.
If you had the power to shut down one of the corners,
Ooh.
and you're going to shut down the one that has the biggest impact on the other corners, like the source. I give you one chip and you put it on a corner. Which one would you shut down?
Okay, so our triangle. Let me recap it here to make sure that I've got it right. We're talking about the external pressures. We're talking about the analysis paralysis, and we're talking about self-doubt. Is that correct?
That's correct.
It would be self-doubt. If I could silence that, maybe I'm a little prone to hyperbole, but I think that I would be completely unstoppable.
Oh my god. Keep going. What happens? What happens when that gets silenced?
Whatever I want. Like, and it sounds awful, but like, I don't, children of a certain age, their parents always told them, right? You can do anything you want if you just put your mind to it. I am one of the fortunate ones that have really found that to be true. That's not a brag. It's just that drive that I have. If I believe in something, I've done it, right? Time and time again. But not enough times that it kills the self-doubt voice. Super weird paradox, right? Like, I see how those two things completely clash. I get that, but I don't understand why, and I don't understand how to get past it. Like, as I said, I alluded to before, I know that I can make any video production work. I know I can handle any type of task. I know that I can do that. When the self-doubt is gone, done. Like, nothing will stand in my way to get something done. It just doesn't happen. But yet the self-doubt lives on. And it gets really loud sometimes. Like, debilitatingly loud.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I could just convey and articulate how many, because I get to sit in this chair and every day I see founders that are in different stages and people that have incredible capabilities like you, people that have accomplished amazing things. And I see no correlation between accomplishments and capability and that self-doubt voice. It's everywhere. It's in so many people. And what resonates with me so much, before I pass it to you for open Q&A on your end here, what resonates with me so much is like your tendency to try to find the information and study, and the answer to figuring out that self-doubt, which so many people, including myself in different parts of my life in the past have dealt with. Everyone's got a pretty unique route to like what's kind of the source thinking pattern. I always think of it like lines of code, right? The source code is going to lead to the actual result, which feels self-doubt. But if we just go up a couple layers and dig a bit, I want to figure out when we start next week with that self-doubt, like what's kind of underlying that? What are the 2 or 3 key roots? And then if we dig into those 2 or 3 key roots, my assumption is we're going to find a bit of an unlock of what's driving it, and then we can look at that objectively and see, how we can rewrite some of that code based on, facts as opposed to, things that might be clouded with emotions or limiting beliefs and things like that, right? So that to me feels like the natural place to start. And when we jump in next week, I'll let you start wherever you want. But before I pass to you for Q&A, I'm curious your thoughts on like that initial blueprint of a plan, which is really the purpose of the past half an hour, I'd say.
All right. Cool. Questions. So my tendency, I can already tell you what my tendency is for like the next steps after this until our next meeting, is to go write everything down, go start finding a book or two or three on all the processes, and start reading it, try to get, my mind around those concepts and different things, and then come back and be able to have something good to say about all these things. You think that's a good idea or a bad idea based on our conversation? Should I just kind of like skip that and just come back? Or what do you think?
So my perspective here is rather than looking for more external information right now, if you were to set aside any time between now and the first session, you don't have to. Usually we'll do a bit of actions between sessions, but if you want to do something between now and next week, we totally can. I would rather you spend some time drawing out this triangle and looking at the three buckets of the triangle and starting to try to articulate like what are those voices saying in each of those three areas? And I would write that out. And earlier you were saying, Tarik, like when I say this out loud, I kind of feel like, oh my God, I can't believe that this is what's happening. I want more of that. I want you to write it out and look at it and maybe feel like, yeah, I kind of believe these two, but these four, these don't make sense. And that's how we're going to start teasing this out. I care way more right now about us getting super clear on what's underneath the triangle than I do about you getting more external information. Because I have a sense that if more external information was the answer, then this would have been solved a long time ago, right? And rarely is more external information the answer. But what are your thoughts on that type of an exercise? I don't know your journaling habits or your how you like to articulate things, but
Yeah,
what comes to mind when you come?
That's really cool. I like that. I think I can handle that pretty well. Yeah, yeah. Writing it out, visualizing it a little bit would be good, for sure.
Yeah. See where that gets to. And I'm really curious how different parts of the triangle affect each other, right? Because very
Yeah.
likely, I know it feels like three different things. There might just be one or two things that are driving all this. And then like that's what we're gonna attack basically in the coming weeks.
Cool. Very cool.
How we doing?
Exciting.
You did
Exhale.
great. You did great, Josh. It's not easy. Coaching can feel weird when you're in it for the first time and you're doing the talking and we're going in. You did amazing. Like I appreciate your openness and your transparency. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm gonna probably leave here, and as you know, I like to jump in the truck and go for a drive to decompress, and that's probably exactly what I'm going to be doing whenever we hang up. But it's good. I've got a lot of I still have a lot of the doubts, but I got some hope too. I feel a little hopeful. So
Okay. I'm happy to hear that, and I'm pumped for what we're about to do with this triangle. It's gonna be
me
good.
too, me too.
All right, Josh. Anything else before we wrap?
I think that's everything, my friend.
I'll talk to you next week and ping anytime, yeah, if you have questions in between.
Uh, Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, enjoy the drive. Cheers, man.
Thanks.
See ya.